Let's talk about Emerita Resources, because what's happening with the Aznalcóllar court case is one of the most misunderstood, and potentially explosive, situations in the junior mining world right now. If you're already following this case, you know how complex it is. But here's the thing, despite the latest legal twists, this story is far from over, and for long-term investors, the real opportunity may still lie ahead. So, let's break this down. On April 16, the TSJA, the Regional Administrative Court in Andalusia, issued a ruling that, at first glance, seemed like a blow to Emerita. They essentially upheld the legality of the mine's current operation under Minera Los Frailes, a subsidiary of Grupo Mexico. Now, this has been spun by some as a dead end for Emerita. But let's be clear, this wasn't the main event. This ruling was about administrative process, not the criminal charges at the core of the case. And that's where the real weight lies. Because while the TSJA ruling may have temporarily validated MLF's control of the mine from a bureaucratic standpoint, the criminal trial currently underway in Seville could completely reverse the situation. This trial isn't just background noise, it's the main course. It began on March 3 and is scheduled for 40 sessions, wrapping up by July 15. 16 defendants are on trial, including high-level former government officials and executives connected to MLF. The charges? Influence peddling, falsification of public documents, fraud against the public administration, embezzlement. These are not minor technicalities, these are accusations that strike at the heart of how the Aznalcóllar tender was awarded back in 2015. Now, here's where it gets interesting from an investor's perspective. Emerita's position all along has been that it submitted the best technical and environmental bid during the original tender process. That's been validated by independent reviews and even acknowledged in previous judicial findings. So, if this trial ends in convictions, and that's a real possibility given the weight of evidence presented by the anti-corruption prosecutors, then the entire basis of the current award to MLF could be deemed invalid. And remember, the administrative case concerning the tender's legitimacy is paused, frozen, until this criminal trial concludes. That means if the court finds wrongdoing, the suspended administrative process could resume, and the tender could legally be reversed. That's not just speculation, that's how the Spanish legal system works. The criminal trial has the power to fundamentally change the status of the Aznalcóllar project. Let's talk value. The Aznalcóllar deposit isn't just a marginal asset. This is a world-class zinc-lead-silver project in a politically safe jurisdiction with infrastructure in place and a legacy of high-grade production. Estimates suggest over 20 million tons of mineable resource in a district that's still underexplored. For a junior like Emerita, gaining control of this asset would be transformative, potentially putting it in the conversation as a mid-tier producer within a few years. Now, I know some investors are fatigued by the timeline. But we're in the late innings now. The trial is halfway through, and by July 15th, we'll likely have a verdict. If it goes in Emerita's favor, and that's a real scenario, the stock doesn't just re-rate based on hope, it re-rates based on asset reality. And even if the verdict is mixed, the window for an appeal process remains open. So what can you expect in the coming weeks? More courtroom testimony, expert witness presentations, closing arguments in late June, and then all eyes on the July 15th ruling. If you're an investor, you don't need to swing at every pitch, but this might be one you want to keep your eye on. Bottom line, this is a high-stakes, high-upside situation. Yes, there are risks. Legal processes are complex, and political pressure exists. But there are very few junior mining companies trading at these levels with this kind of asymmetric potential. This isn't about chasing hype, it's about understanding how justice, geology, and timing can converge. This is legacy analysis. Stay sharp, stay patient, and we'll keep digging deeper so you don't have to.